So a lot of people are talking about getting out of debt right now, but what about staying debt-free after you do that? Now keep watching for the quickest way to pay off your debts and stay to the end, because I have a strategy for you to keep it from coming back ever again. Or as Jim Carrey says in The Grinch, but this time I'll keep it off. All right, so number one, start tracking your money, or continue tracking your money if you haven't done so already. Track your money, track the money that's coming in, track the money that's going out. This is so essential, right? You gotta make sure that you're tracking your money all the time. Especially if you're gonna get out of debt, this cannot stop happening. What happens to many people is that they create these great habits, and maybe they start tracking their money, maybe they even start doing like the envelopes method where they put the money in the envelope, and that's what they have for their food budget, and they have the money going for gas and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's awesome. But then once they get debt free, they hit their goal and they're like, oh, I'm done. All right, habits out the window, right? It's gone. No, we don't want that. We want you to keep going. We want you to keep those good habits. So for example, what I love to do is track money using Mint. Mint.com, it's a Mint app. You can use that as well. Mint is a great way to be able to track your money. It's free, it's easy to use, and it's a great way to automate how you're trying to track your money. So like for example, when I went through my worst debt hole, right? I was in a situation where I was over $1 million in debt. In fact, I was even in the hole each month. I was short $15,000 or $16,000 a month. I was just buried. And by the way, this was not all debt either. This was just the fact that the recession was kicking my butt. I was not even making enough even to just live. Even if I was debt free, I still didn't have enough to just simply live with my growing family, as well as with business expenses and everything else. So I was sinking pretty fast. Now, the thing I hadn't done up to that point was track my money. I had not been a wise steward of the resources that I had. So what was I doing? I was just spending because I had more than enough money to come and to spare. Well, when the money ran out, you can guarantee that just like oxygen, when that runs out, you count every breath. I started counting every little dollar, every penny, right? And it was shocking to me. It was shocking to see where the money was going. Places I didn't even realize, especially if you have subscriptions. How many times you might have subscriptions that might be coming out, that it's coming out every single month automatically, you just never see it, right? Those things, if you're not using it, get rid of it. My mantra is if you're not gonna use it, lose it. Get rid of it, get it out of here. Same thing with the gym. I can't tell you how many times I see people have a gym membership and sometimes they're spending at least $200, $300 a month. Now, if you're training for something, if you're using it, awesome, that's great. If you're gonna use it, perfect. But I get some people that they're paying for these gym memberships and they barely use it. I have a gym membership, I spend $25 a month, right? And I use the gym a lot, but half the year I don't, half the year I'm end up outside running and doing stuff. I'll use the gym maybe a little bit, a few times a week, but in the wintertime, I'm using it like 5, 6 days a week. So I wanna milk every dollar I can get. Same thing for you, is that you wanna make sure you're tracking your money, making sure that you're really keeping those habits going. So that's how I track my money. I like to use Mint. I like to just keep on top of it. I like to track it weekly so that I'm staying on top of it as much as I can. Now, please, if you have ideas as well, let everybody know in the comments what your best way to track money for yourself. I'd love to hear what you have to do. All right, number 2 is save for emergencies. The biggest problem I'm seeing here is that many times people will get so focused on paying off their debt, they're putting every dollar they have there. But what this does is creates a rubber band effect, as I call it, right? Is that you start to pay off the debt, it starts to shrink, and then all of a sudden, emergency comes up or some unexpected expense or unexpected reduction of income, and next thing you know, it expands. And then you need more, right? And then so you end up using that credit card after you maybe try to pay down that car loan, and then all of a sudden, boom, now you have to use the credit card again because you have no money for emergencies. The biggest thing of discipline that you need to do is not try to pay off your debt so aggressively. Have the balance there, right? You gotta have an offense and a defense when you're doing this. The defense is saving for the emergencies. So even after you get out of debt, especially when you get out of debt, make sure you keep that emergency fund intact. I would recommend at minimum 6 months for emergencies, especially in today's marketplace. You might have heard me say before 3 to 6 months on this channel earlier. I'm going to recommend 6 to 12 months now. I think we need more money going into this next recession. I believe that sometimes there might be some layoffs that could be more extensive than we realize. It could be the fact that inflation is still going and that really wages aren't keeping up with inflation. We got to make sure that we have that savings. And who knows, maybe you have enough saved up that maybe there's an opportunity to be able to use that money to work for you so you have to work so hard for money. But at least have that emergency fund in place. Now, before I get to the next point, I want to remind you, subscribe to my channel. And while you're at it, give this video a little like. Bing! Anyways. All right. Now, number 3, invest for passive income. All right. This is one of my favorites. This is the offense to go with this, right? We got the defense, but we got to have some offense too. The thing is that many of my clients get debt free and then they say, now what? I did what Dave Ramsey asked me. I'm his poster child. I was able to yell freedom on his little, radio show or whatever, right? But guess what? I'm not anywhere closer to being financially free because that reduced my expenses, but I still have to live just like I did, right? When I was in my hole, it wasn't all just debt. I still had to make money to keep paying for just the basic expenses. You do too. So if you've got cash and you start to build this up, especially the money we were using to pay off debt, use that money now to build up and then invest for passive income. Because the best defense sometimes is a good offense, isn't it? Right? It's to be able to have that ability to have more passive income coming in. Give you an example, 2020 was a very revealing year for us, wasn't it? I had many clients where they were business owners, their businesses were shut down, sometimes for 2 months plus. I had many clients that were furloughed or even laid off from their jobs during that period of time. It was so comforting to hear that, for example, I had one client, Louis, he was on my podcast, and Louis said, hey, 2020 was bad. I'm in the film industry in Hollywood. Hollywood was shut down almost worse than anybody. He said, the good news is because I had an extra $3,000, $4,000 a month of passive income coming in, I was able to sit back, relax. He also had an emergency fund, like I mentioned earlier. He was able to relax. And then as Hollywood opened up again, he didn't just take the first crappy job that came along. He was able to wait patiently for the right job to come along. That was power for him. He had that power and control of his situation, his financial life. Why? Because just before 2020 hit, we got him creating more passive income so that he didn't have to be forced into the work environment. He's not quite financially independent yet, but he's on his way there. And now he's working again, just gives him more money to invest to be able to increase that passive income. I recommend you do the same thing, is find ways to create multiple streams of passive income so that if anything happens, you're safe, and that's definitely going to help keep you out of debt even more. If you want a more in-depth explanation on how to make $5,000 a month in passive income, stick around till the end because I'm going to share with you a video that will help you do just that. All right, so number 4, do you want to stay debt-free? Now, I know this seems counterintuitive to everything I just said, but do you want to stay debt-free? Is that really what you want? Now remember I mentioned I get a lot of the Dave Ramsey poster children that become clients of ours in Money Ripples, right? And when they hire us, they'll say, okay, I'm debt-free, but now what? Now we'll see some savings and things we can do to create passive income, but then we'll look at things like their home and say, listen, you've got a home here. You're debt-free, but what did that do for you? You have all this net worth, but this net worth is worthless unless it's paying you income. What if we can get your house to start paying you instead of you always paying for it? Because even if you become debt-free with a mortgage, right? And some of these people aren't debt-free on their mortgage, but they have a mortgage payment. And even if they become debt-free, I have clients that are debt-free with no mortgage payments even, yet they still have to pay taxes, they still have to pay insurance on their house, they gotta still pay for these bills, they have to pay for maintenance and upkeep. Their house is definitely not an asset, it's still an expense for them. Well, why not get that asset to work as an asset? Assets pay you money, while liabilities take money out of your pocket, as Robert Kiyosaki says in Rich Dad Poor Dad. Well, this asset you can get a cheap, easy access to bank money. What if we could use that money to make you more money? So I'll give you an example. I have a client just recently where she's got a mortgage on a property. She's on track to pay it off in 10 years. So she's aggressively been trying to pay this off, get debt free. It'll free up $1,150 a month. However, I told her, I said, listen, you've got some equity in your property. We're not gonna use all of it, but let's just say we can cash out some of that money. We can get out $160,000 of that equity. Well, that $160,000, guess what that does? If she earns just 10% on passive income per year on that, that's $16,000 a year. Now, it will increase her payment. It will increase her payment by about $500 a month. But think about it. If that's $500 a month, but you're making in her case, $1,400 a month, she now nets $900 a month that's coming with no money out of her pocket, right? No money out of her pocket because that payment, although it only went $500 a month, she's now making $1,400 a month, right? That extra $900 a month difference, that's actually helping her pay her mortgage payment for her. Now her house is actually paying her. It's actually making her own payment for her. The cool thing is we don't put it back in the house. We could do that and we could still pay it off in a reasonable amount of time, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna take that money, invest it, and then that money starts to grow. And I showed her, I said, look, over these years, look what will happen. After 10 years, instead of just freeing up $1,150 a month on your mortgage, you'll actually increase your passive income by anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 a month passive income in that same period of time. So for her, that's netting her at least $4,000 or $5,000 a month better of a situation. That is how you can beat the crap out of Dave Ramsey's little method there, right? That's how you actually get your money work for you. And like I promised, if you want to figure out how to do just what I talked about right there, we've got a video how to make $5,000 a month in passive income. Click on that right now.